times.
Very different.
And this virus is very unpredictable, unfortunately.
Oh, no.
People are getting whom they should not get. I mean, they don't understand how they got it.
We don't know the real nature of this virus. That's the reason. No? Predictability is a bit of a problem.
Oh, Anika. Yeah, okay.
Can we continue?
मलिक सर आणि केळकर सर सुरू करूयात का?
Yeah, it's
exactly
there are only 29 so far.
Yeah. Shall we wait for 5 minutes or
Maybe 2 minutes?
2 minutes. Okay.
Now there seems to be 30 plus 2, 32.
Yeah.
Okay, you start whenever you want to.
I think we can start. Okay.
Yep.
Good afternoon, all, and welcome to this PIC Adda of this month, that is June 2021. Friends, we all know that around 48% of Indian population is of women. The GDP and the economical growth of our country, therefore, depends largely on women empowerment, women employment, and women entrepreneurship opportunities. While the government does a lot of framework and also invoke many policies for economical boost of our country, there are many towards women entrepreneurship support as well. However, awareness is very important, and in this sense, we have an excellent talk today on this PIC Adda. Good afternoon all. This is Dr. Sangeeta Kale, working at Defense Institute of Advanced Technology and the Programs Committee member of PIC. With me on the panel, we have Dr. Amitav Malik and Dr. Vijay Kelkar, along with Mr. Abhay Vaidya. The details of Pune International Center can be seen at the website of www.puneinternationalcenter.org. It is basically a think tank comprising of more than 300 different people from different walks of life within Pune and around Pune. Let me welcome the speaker of today, Dr. Sheila Bhide, who is an IAS officer and a chairperson, Women Entrepreneurs International Trade and Technology Center, and she's also a member of PIC. She will speak today on empowering women entrepreneurs, exploring new horizons. Let me introduce the speaker of the day. Dr. Sheila Bhide is a retired civil servant belonging to Indian Administrative Service, Andhra Pradesh cadre in 1973 batch. She has served Government of Andhra Pradesh and Government of India in various assignments over a period of 36 years. In Government of India, she has also held the posts of Chairperson of India Trade Promotion Organization under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Special Secretary and Financial Advisor in the Ministry of External Affairs, Additional Secretary and Financial Advisor in the Ministry of Defense, and Joint Secretary in the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. In the Government of Andhra Pradesh, she was the Principal Secretary in the Department of Industries and Commerce and Principal Secretary in the Department of Finance, besides several other posts held by her both in the field and in the Secretariat. In 2008, she was awarded the Prime Minister's Award for Excellence in Public Administration. Dr. Sheila Bhide has a doctorate in International Trade from Graduate Institute for International Studies and Development, Geneva, Switzerland. She holds a master's degree in economics from George Mason University, Virginia, USA, and a master's degree in public administration from John F. Kennedy School of Government, Harvard University, Cambridge, Massachusetts, USA. At Harvard University, she was awarded the Josephine and Raymond Vernon Awards for academic excellence and leadership. At present, she is the chairperson of the Women's Entrepreneurs International Trade and Technology Center, senior advisor to the Indian Institute of Foundry Men, senior advisor to the Association of Lady Entrepreneurs of India, independent director on the boards of Rain Holdings Limited, Katie Kenstew Private Limited, and Suryodaya Foundation. We have an excellent speaker today, ladies and gentlemen. With this brief introduction, I would request Dr. Sheila Bhede to start with her talk, please. Over to Dr. Sheila.
Dr. Kirkar, Professor Malik, Dr. Kare, thank you for giving me this opportunity. I will be speaking on empowerment of women entrepreneurs. What are the challenges, hurdles they face, and how we can help them overcome them and become successful entrepreneurs. I will also, in the second part, cover an area of the new opportunities that are opening for women entrepreneurs, mainly in the field of international trade. There are tremendous, very powerful movement taking place in the world, how to bring women into trade. And I would like to speak on how we can take opportunity of this new movement. Let me share my screen with all of you. Share. So let us begin with the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. As we all know, they are considered as a blueprint to achieve a sustainable future for all. Gender equality is given a lot of importance. It is SDG number 5. What UN has done is to make gender equality as been brought into the mainstream. It says progress on all SDGs will be stalled if women's empowerment and gender equality are not prioritized and treated holistically. India is a signatory to this agreement. The SDGs, there are 17 of them, are to be achieved by 2030. As you can see, we don't have much time left, less than a decade to achieve these goals. So what has India been doing all these years and what is its position on SDG? I'd like to give a brief reality check. The World Economic Forum's report on Global Gender Gap Index. I have got the latest report of 2021, early this year. Unfortunately, India doesn't seem to be doing too well. India ranks 140th among 156 nations. In South Asia, only Afghanistan and Pakistan rank below us. All other countries are above us. And in fact, Bangladesh is as high as 46. India has closed only 62.5% of the gender gap till date. This report takes several indices, but I have picked up only 3 of them which are directly related to our topic. The share of women in professional and technical roles is only 29.2%. Share of women in senior and managerial positions, 14.6%. Firms with female top managers, 8.9%. So as you will all agree, we have miles to go before we sleep. The women-owned enterprises, we can broadly categorize them into 3, the large, the small and medium, and the micro. Since time is a bit of a constraint, I will cover only the SMEs which are owned by women, but I will also cover SSGs, that is the self-help groups, because they are women below the poverty line and large in number all over the country. And it is surprisingly a great success story. So I'd like to cover something on the SSGs.
Sheila ma'am, yes. Can you just put it in the presentation mode so that it will be more clear? You can just put it as F5. So that
is this all right?
Yeah, perfect. Yes.
Now visible? Okay.
Yes.
So what are the challenges and the hurdles that the women-owned enterprises face? Really, it is a challenge right from the start, from the time of conceptualizing either their product manufacturing or their services. They find that there is lack of support and mentoring. What products they should produce, or what technology they should adopt, what equipment they should select. That's a very important. A lot of women come to us saying, please help us in selection of the equipment, where they should locate the unit, because they may not have their own premises, and then which market to target, and who are the competitors. So these are very, very critical issues for any entrepreneur in her journey. And somehow she feels that she doesn't have adequate support to take these very vital decisions. One major problem is that the lack of bank finance. That is largely because women do not have assets which are in their name, and they cannot give these assets as collateral to the banks. So getting bank finance without collateral is always a big problem. Marketing is a big problem. They depend on middlemen to take their products to the market. They feel that they do not have networking capabilities. It's much easier for the men to do that over dinner, over drinks, and social networks. But women find it a bit difficult. If they're alone, they get harassed by government inspectors who make unreasonable demands, and they cannot fight them on their own. Some of them feel that there isn't enough family support. So these are just a few I have mentioned, but I'm sure there are many more. In general, a woman entrepreneur feels that she is a lone woman in a man's world. So given these challenges, what can be done? Is there any way out to help them? I would like to give the example of the Association of Lady Entrepreneurs of India, which is a not-for-profit company registered in Hyderabad way back in 1994. And they have been doing yeoman service for women entrepreneurs, trying to help them overcome all these challenges and hurdles. What is good about ALEAP is that it's a comprehensive approach. They have identified all these hurdles, and one by one, they have tried to address them and see how, in what way ALEAP can be of help to them. In fact, there are many other associations, women's associations, who are doing very good work, but I've selected ALEAP because of its comprehensiveness of its strategy. And they have been really very successful over the last 25 years. And the Ministry of MSMEs, Small and Medium Enterprises, in fact, have called them for a meeting recently, asking them whether they would help the ministry replicate the ALEAP model all over the country. So that is quite a recognition and an honor for them. I would begin with their flagship project, which was the first project they took up. It started way back in 1995. This ALEAP was registered in December 93, and I had joined as Secretary Industries in January 1995. Two women, President of ALEAP, Rama Devi, and one of her colleagues came to my office and said that we have established this association basically to help women entrepreneurs. And one of the ideas we have is to set up an exclusive industrial estate for women entrepreneurs. And we would like government to give us land for this project, and of course, give us the supporting infrastructure. So when I talked to them, I got the impression that they were quite sincere and they were quite committed. And I thought as a project, as an idea, it would be wonderful to have an exclusive industrial estate for women. It would be the first of its kind in the country. So immediately I talked to my senior officers and also to the Chief Minister, who was Chandrababu Naidu at that time. And all of them were very, very taken up with the idea and said, certainly let us help. The government should give them land. So we looked around for land in and around Hyderabad. And just outside Hyderabad, we found 30 acres of government land at Gajul Ramaram village. When I visited this land along with the ladies, it was a barren piece of land with huge boulders, just some thorny bushes, no water, no electricity nearby, no approach roads. It was really a wilderness. And I was under the impression that the women will outright reject this piece of land. But to my surprise, they said, it's fine, we will take this land. They promptly collected the money, gave whatever, it was not a very big sum, but they collected it and gave it to the government, and they became owners of this industrial land. They decided that they would develop this industrial estate by themselves. What, fortunately for them, in government of Andhra Pradesh had passed an act called Industrial Areas Local Authority Act. And under this act, they allowed private agencies, societies to develop industrial estates and also to manage them. Because Andhra Pradesh Industrial Infrastructure Corporation was unable to maintain so many industrial estates all across the state. So they thought that they would decentralize, and these industrial societies were allowed to develop the industrial estates. The model was that the government would give the basic infrastructure like electricity, water supply, internet connection, and road access, etc., right up to the border of the industrial estate. And within the park, the society would develop the infrastructure. The Alip did such a wonderful job of this industrial estate with the help of GIZ, the German development agency. They decided on making it a green industrial park. And it was such a success that they got a platinum rating for it. If you go to this Gajul Ramaram industrial estate, you won't believe that it was a wasteland. It's so green with beautiful fountains, greenery, good layout, solar energy, waste management, etc. Of course, it has become quite a showpiece for many people. Alip has developed 3 other industrial estates, and 3 are under construction. Now, the benefit for Alip of this strategy of industrial parks is that they get the land at a very reasonable rate from government. They invest in developing the infrastructure, and they sell the plots to the women at a little higher rate, making a fairly reasonable profit. With this profit, they created a corpus, and with this corpus, they were able to take other industrial estates and also take up a large number of development programs for the women. So they were a cash-rich association within a couple of years, and their credibility went up considerably. Now, this is the benefit to Alip, but what about the women? The women got these developed industrial plots at a very reasonable rate, far lower than the rate charged by APIIC, the government agency. And most important, they became owners of an asset. The asset was in their name, and that helped them get bank loans and also helped them get them some stability. They got advisory services at the doorstep, which was given to them by Alip. They were protected from harassment by local government officials because it was a gated community and nobody could just enter and harass anybody. And if any single woman was harassed by any government officials, everybody came together to ensure that she was protected. There were common facility centers. I'll talk to them about this a little later. And there were social support systems like creches, canteens, medical clinics, and security. All these things gave them a lot of confidence to attend to their business. And the most important aspect was that if the unit fails by any chance, the land would have appreciated in the meantime. And the bankers were quite sure that they would be able to recover their loans with the enhanced value of the plot. So all in all, it helped the women and it helped Alip. And it was a partnership which is replicated again in different areas of the state. I mentioned to you some, can you
Shida madam, Yeah, we are able to hear you very nicely, but I think the slides are not changing, or you've just changed the slide to the next one, is it?
Yes, I'm changing the slide.
Okay.
As I talk, I'm changing.
Can you go to the next slide? Let us all see.
I've gone to the next slide.
Okay, and one more.
It calls support services
Support.
for women.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry to bother you. Sorry.
No, it's
Yeah,
all right.
Please continue.
So I mentioned to you some of the major handicaps, challenges that women face. What Alip did was to identify each of these problems and see how to address them. So it is very comprehensive strategy to help women entrepreneurs in all aspects of their business. They set up a center for entrepreneurship development right in the heart of this industrial estate, where they give training and support services, assistance in preparing DPRs, selection of technologies. They get the experts to help them, selection of machinery. They give company secretarial services like how to register a company, what documentation have to be done, etc. They advise the women on all the regulatory aspects and also what are the government schemes under which they can take benefit, whether it's Mudra or UPM, Yuva or whatever. Then they give marketing support. They have a database for trade and they conduct market surveys in the specific areas selected. They have product exhibitions and catalog shows, and they train the women in marketing skills. Alip in this CED has 300 policy and business experts who are on the rolls as consultants. So any support that is required is available. They have also collaborated with the Indian School of Business for giving them short-term EDP programs so that they can improve their skills over time. They have set up an MSME help desk. Any problem that the women have, they can contact them on this help desk and the experts are there to give them advice. Even during COVID last year, a large number of webinars were held, training was held in how to have business survival. And during COVID, digital skills were imparted to the women and they were encouraged to go in for e-commerce. So for the last 25 years, they've been very successfully doing these programs. Nearly 60,000 beneficiaries were given skilling programs in different fields, professional, technical, personnel, business, under their Vande Mataram program. And they have taken help of the Ministry of Skill Development. A lot of programs were conducted under STRIVE, that is strengthening of industrial value enhancement, and the PM Yuva, a lot of focus on industrial apprenticeship under this program. So it's very technically oriented. Alip also set up the Credit Guarantee Association, which gives guarantee to the banks on behalf of the members. And this allows them to get loans without collateral. Alip is a member of the state level bankers committee, where it's a high level committee in every state, where Alip has a voice in telling the government officials as also the senior bankers the problems faced by them. Alip has been very successful in tying up with corporates. I'll just give you one example, and that is the hub and spoke model for garment manufacturing with Aditya Birla Group. The manufacturing is done at a decentralized level, but all the design, cutting, etc. is done at a centralized hub level by the Birla Group, and they manufacture their Peter England brand under this model. Alip has set up an e-commerce platform called AliZone and has also physical shops to market the products. Of course, I would say e-commerce platform needs to be further strengthened, and we are on that job. Over 3 lakh women entrepreneurs have been aided through incubation, training, infrastructure support, marketing support, and other programs. What is unique about Alip is that they've broadened the horizons, mental horizons of the women entrepreneurs. They've exposed them to international conferences, taken them to exhibitions, exposed them to international visits to various other clusters of women entrepreneurs, and also create, I think this is the key to their success, created a very successful network between various institutions like government, industry, academia, R&D institutions of national importance like NIFTM, Food Processing Institute, etc., banks and international development institutes like World Bank, European Union, ADB, GIZ. GIZ in particular has taken a lot of interest in technical training and expertise for women under ALIP's programs. So the advantage is that they have got a lot of support system that they have created for themselves. And I would say, because they have been sincere and committed, their credibility is of a high order. And in fact, today institutions approach them to say, we have these programs, would you like to be our partners in implementing? Which I think is a great respect and honor. Yes, now I would mention quickly about the self-help groups. They of course are not directly under ALIP, they're somewhat independent, but the problems that women face, they're basically women from below the poverty line, and the problems they face are very similar to what the SME women face. But what is really the issue is the acute problems that they face because of they are at the margin. They function at a margin. So any small calamities, a health problem or some flood or anything, they and their families and their units go under. And a number of times they require consumption loans, and no bank is willing to give them these loans, and they have no choice but to go to the local money lenders. These are all in the rural and semi-urban areas. They have to depend on money lenders, and they sometimes, unfortunately, leads to heavy indebtedness, and it's very difficult for them to come out of the trap. So actually, the self-help group movement started more or less on its own. Women realized that they were in this sort of dire predicament because they have no support system. So they came together and set up thrift societies. They used to pool in their small amounts of savings, and they put them together. And whenever any member wanted consumption loans, which were justified for some genuine reasons, they gave them these consumption loans. And they found that there was some additional savings in their bank. So they started giving small loans to the women entrepreneurs to start their business, local small businesses. And 80% of SSGs have only women. They give them the loans at a small rate, minor rate, and they found that there was very high levels of repayment because it was a small community. They wanted to help each other, and repayment levels were of a very high order. Now, a path-breaking project came about because of NABARD's initiative in 1992 called the SSG Bank Linkage Scheme. NABARD had realized that commercial banks were not in a position to lend to rural and semi-urban areas to dispersed clients, and because of the cost of delivery of loans. And there was not much headway. The RRBs also were not doing very well, and the commercial banks, the cooperative banks also had their own problems. So they came up with this project, or I would say program, where they linked the financially deprived rural women entrepreneurs to the formal banking system. They had to make three major concessions from the normal banking system. One was the banks were allowed to accept informal groups as clients, both for deposits as well as for lending, loans. They were allowed to give collateral-free lending, and they could give loans to the groups without any specification of purpose or activity or project. It was just a general lump sum money given. It was left to the SSG to decide which woman would get it for which product. So I would say that over the years from 1992, the movement has really spread, and particularly in South India. And it managed to get the latest NABARD report of 2019 and 2020. It shows that the movement is really widespread and involves large number of people. There are nearly 12 crore family households involved in this movement, 1.02 crore SSGs which have been linked to banks, 108,000 crore loans advanced, and 26,000 crore deposits taken by the banks from these SHGs. So as you can see, the numbers are quite impressive. But it's not just a question of a numbers game. Even the quality of this lending has been of a very high order. I could say that it's a success story. The loan repayment is 96 plus, above 96%. The NPAs are below 5%. When NABARD did the measurement of the economic status, whether it's been improving over the years, they found there was a measurable increase in families' economic conditions. And the women, because of the profits that they earned, they invested in some consumer durables like gas stoves, fridges, grinding machines, motorbikes, and all these consumer durables help them expand their business. So as you can see, they are very wise in using their profits. And most important, they've invested heavily in their children's education. This is something which is remarkable. And it's, every time I see these examples, I feel very proud that the women want to invest in the next generation so that they can, as a family, they can come out of the poverty, come above the poverty line. Another remarkable thing is that most women entrepreneurs employ women, other women. So they help each other. And by and large, when we interviewed these women entrepreneurs, they said that SSGs and these bank loans have has led to empowerment, and our social standing has enhanced considerably. They become like leaders in the village level. Now, my experience, this is from my experience, I find that this movement really needs to be strengthened further, but there are certain aspects which need particular attention. One is where governments have been are giving houses in the name of the woman, it adds a lot of stability to the woman. She doesn't have to pay rent, and she can add one room where she can do her enterprise, conduct her work, business. And the bankers are also very happy because they know that there is a definite residential contact point for them. Where the governments give free medical support, like Arogya Shri in Andhra Pradesh, it has led to a lot of benefit to these SHG women. In some cases, NGOs using CSR funds are doing excellent work. They've been holding health camps, insurance cover for the calamities, and technical upgradation of the skills. They've been conducting financial literacy programs and digital skills also. NABARD has got a digital skills program, and they've been taking benefit of that program and giving digital skills. So now they're very familiar with using mobiles, etc. for payment. What I feel really strongly, and that is that financial institutions which lend to the SSGs should think of lowering their interest rates. Each bank is giving a different rate, some 7.5, some 14%, some 22% also I found. On an average, it is about 14%. I feel that for poor people, taking 14% interest is a bit on the high side. And there should be some movement to get them to lower the interest rate, since their recoveries are so high, 97%, 98%. They don't have any risk. And there is also sometimes a danger of indebtedness because where SSGs are very successful, all bankers want to jump on them and give them loans. As you know, there was a big story in Andhra Pradesh in 2010, and the entire SSG program came to a grinding halt. So we have to be a little careful. Of course, MFIN is trying to sort that out, but this is a danger that is possible. So these are just a few pictures I'm giving where women are either getting trained in various fields and or they are doing their production. Alip has also taken up a training program for women in Kashmir under the Tata project, and women from the old city are also given EDP program. So they're really addressing the very needy women. Now I'd come to a very important aspect of the women's Alip's programs, and that is the emphasis on technology. They have taken benefit from the Atal Innovation Mission and set up a multi-sector incubation center in Hyderabad. They've also got grants from Niti Aayog, from the Ministry of Food Processing and the Ministry of IT, where they've given complete infrastructure facilities for startups set up by women entrepreneurs. Let me go back to 1983. Government of Andhra Pradesh took really a path-breaking decision. That was to reserve 30% of seats in all technical institutes in the state for women. And at that time, of course, very few women used to go for technical education. But when the opportunity opened up here, even parents used to say, why waste this opportunity? Let us send our daughters to technical institutes. So you have generations of young women passing out of these technical institutes who are ready either to take jobs in established companies or to set up their own startups. And really, it's something remarkable. And I myself, over the years, I've seen how confidently women have, got these technical education and, come in for setting up their new enterprises. This WeHub is a multi-sector one. It covers biotechnology. I'll just mention one or two this thing, but it's on the screen. Clean tech or biotech applications for waste to wealth and diabetic breakfast, biodegradable technologies like corn plastic bag made out of corn powder, which is totally biodegradable. Then municipal waste into biofuel, etc. Waste cloth paper into Buddha statues, which by the way are being exported to Southeast Asia. Then food processing technologies. There is one girl who's, I'll show you her photograph. She's making Kaju's fruit drink from cashew apple, which is a waste material from the cashew tree. There's a lady who makes millet-based healthy snacks, solar dehydration of fruits and vegetables. There's a spinach mix, which is being manufactured, which is now being exported to Singapore, and freeze drying technology, lyophilization. So these are all the technologies available. Even in garments and textiles, they've brought in technology. You have huge printing machines to print on jute material. This is first of its kind, and very colorful cloth. Jute cloth is available to make various products like bags, etc. They've got a socks cluster with computerized machines, which enables them knitting and stitching of cloth. And they've got computerized embroidery machines for home furnishings. Electronics and engineering, 3D printing machines, makerspace and fab labs, IT and ITES, computers with advanced software for development of apps, designs and development, prototypes and production, CAD/CAM facility. So as you can see, in very critical and large number of sectors, this infrastructure and machinery is available for the startups. This is a diagram to show how right from conceptualizing the idea itself to commercialization of the startups, the support is given by this WeHub, Ali WeHub. They give facility. When the lady comes with a concept, the R&D facility is available to test it. There is mentoring. Experts are available for developing the product, the concept. Training seminars are held. Industry exposure is given. They are assisted to approach funding agencies like venture capital and angel networks and government government schemes for startups. Then they are helped with corporate partnerships. Business advisory support is given, how to register the company, how to maintain, do the compliances, how to get certification. And what is important is if there is a new technology, how to get IPR registration, etc. So they also, of course, provide the co-working space, the internet facility, the lab facility, and the machinery at a very reasonable cost, and it's all subsidized by the government. And some of the schemes I'll just mention to you, they are really coming up very, very successfully. Here are some of the examples. These are very few. There is, as you can see, they're highly qualified people, highly qualified women. Some are PhDs and MSCs and IITs, etc. A lady has set up a Nimaya Robotics, where she does psychomotor and cognitive skills for training of children with autism. There's this other lady, Santoshi, who's got building oxygen concentrators. This lady I mentioned to you, her name is Dr. Tulasila. She is a PhD in biotechnology, and she's developed a cashew apple juice out of cashew apple, which is thrown in the fields under the cashew tree. So she collects them, and it is very rich in vitamin C, 8 times richer than a single orange. And she has developed this juice, and it's much in demand. There is this lady, Volga, who's making solar dried fruits and vegetables and is getting very good export orders. As I told you, for spinach, she's getting orders from Singapore. And this lady, Praveen, who is making millet-based fruits. As you know, it is called the golden grain now. And people are pushing it as a healthy food. And she makes nutritious, immune-boosting cookies and chickies, which she gives to the midday meal programs of the government. So these women, when you talk to them, you feel that they are so confident of themselves. They've got their technical degrees. They know what they want. They're getting the support they require. And when you talk to them, you feel that they can take on the world. They talk as if nothing is impossible for them. They can take on the world. And this is the segment of women that we are now targeting to see how we can take them global. This is the second part of my presentation. There is a huge movement, global movement, to get women into trade. 2017, the ministerial meeting of WTO met in Buenos Aires, and it's a very famous Buenos Aires declaration, which was approved, endorsed by 118 members. And the message and the commitment was that they will make concerted effort to get women into trade. They will foster women's economic empowerment. They will remove gender-specific barriers to trade, and they will collect and share gender-specific data on women in trade. So this was the main agenda of this Buenos Aires meeting. At that time, and still, India has opposed the declaration and has not yet signed the declaration. Their argument is that they fear it's going to be one more non-tariff barrier, and it will work against developing countries where the number of women entrepreneurs in trade is far, far lower than the developed countries. So there is a suspicion that developed countries are trying to use it against the developing countries. So anyway, this is the government of India's stand. In 2019, South Asian Women's Development Forum conducted a survey to find out, are the women in South Asia interested in getting into trade? An overwhelming majority indicated their interest in first regional and then global. They said that trade will improve their incomes, social economic status. Trade will act as a window to access new technologies and improve competitiveness, and exports will help them in achieving economies of scale, which is particularly so in the case of small countries of South Asia like Bhutan, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Maldives. Surprisingly, they were quite aware of all the pitfalls that can come to them if they enter trade. But they said that if government gives them guidance and training and support systems, they feel that they will be able to make a success. Fortunately for women entrepreneurs, just a couple of months ago, landmark historic event, there was First Lady of Director General of WTO, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, took charge. And she has been making very pro-women statements. I'll read just one of them. We cannot expect to make good policy for all members of society if half of the population is not properly and equally represented on the table. Gender equality is a fundamental human rights issue and also an economic empowerment issue. We should all work harder in our respective roles to achieve gender equality. So I think WTO will come with some affirmative action to help women entrepreneurs enter trade, and we should try to take advantage. So if we think of encouraging women to enter trade, I think the pragmatic way would be to first look at the region as a whole, South Asia, then go on to Southeast Asia, and then try to enter the global market. Now, the peculiar problem of South Asia is that though the countries, by and large, have had sustained economic growth of over the last decade of over 7.5% on an average, some more, some less. Intra-regional trade is of very low order. It's considered as the least integrated region of the world. And in fact, the intra-regional trade is as low as 5% of their total trade with the rest of the world. So what is the reason? Why is it that these countries, South Asian countries, are not trading among themselves? In 2018, UNCTAD and ADB did an independent study, and they found that there was great potential for intra-regional trade, which would, if taken up on a serious note, would add considerably to the GDPs of all these countries. But there were serious barriers to trade, intra-regional trade. And I'm mentioning just a few of them: poor trade facilitation, complexity and high costs of trade procedures, red tapeism, bureaucracy, underdeveloped logistic services, lack of trade finance, a non-harmonization of certification and labeling requirements. This is very important. Each country in South Asia follows its own certification and standards and labeling requirements. So there is a committee in Government of India, which has people from all over South Asia, which is trying to harmonize, but it's going very slowly. Then there are a lot of non-tariff barriers, such as technical barriers of trade and quantity controls over essential commodities. As you know, we just stopped onion export to Bangladesh. Then there are very low level of B2B contacts. That means between women entrepreneurs or even on exporters from India with all the other countries, and very little networking. In fact, surprisingly, Federation of Indian Export Organization of India has no formal link with any counterpart institution in South Asia. So I've addressed their Director General and said, why don't you do that? You know, it will be a good networking opportunity. And of course, we have the historical political animosities, particularly among sub-countries. Now, as you can see, it's a formidable list of barriers, but can women entrepreneurs of South Asia work together to overcome and mitigate these barriers? When I talk to them, they're all very positive, and they say, if we work together and help each other and form powerful groups, powerful associations, we can mitigate these barriers and work towards an integrated South Asia. So what are the initiatives that have been taken? Ali, along with the South Asian Development Forum, has set up the Women Entrepreneurs International Trade and Technology Center. We call it as BITTC. We have registered it as a not-for-profit company. It's got twin objectives. One is to promote participation of South Asian women in first regional, then with Southeast Asia, that also is a broader region, and then with the global. And also, the second objective is providing women entrepreneurs access to technologies to assist them in manufacturing high value, innovative products which can be globally competitive. Now, this second objective is very important, because we realize that even if we work hard and get trade facilitation more gender friendly, if the women themselves do not produce products which are competitive in the markets, regional and world markets, no benefit will come to women entrepreneurs, and the number of women participating in trade will not go up if the product itself is substandard. It has to be competitive. It has to maintain certain high standards. So therefore, the second part, in fact, I say, should come first. First, we should make them competitive, and then we should help them to go to the market, global market. So we are setting up an exhibition and marketing center in Hyderabad. We are getting support from the Ministry of MSME under their infrastructure project. I hope that within a short time, this project will be approved. Now, the center will not only hold exhibitions, trade fairs, B2B meetings, buyer-seller meetings, conferences, and seminars. That is not the only objective. We want to, above this exhibition center, we want to create facilities where all the support systems that are required for export for women, like accredited agencies for testing the product for export, packaging, labeling to meet international packaging and labeling standards, insurance and freight forwarding facilities, port handling facilities, banks for giving export finance, maintaining trade data, conducting market surveys as required by the participants, and also take advantage or benefit or have networks with large trading houses, whether they can give support to these women. So as you can see, it's a very comprehensive initiative that we are now starting. We are in the process of initiating this. We are also trying to set up a regional e-commerce platform, which will cover not only South Asia, but also the ASEAN. And we are in talks with UNSCAP and AWEN, that's Asian Women Entrepreneurs Network, and of course, Alip and Soda. In the meantime, we have started training programs for women, and we feel that every woman entrepreneur cannot become a trader or an exporter because it takes a lot of time and specialization. But what we could do is focus on young women who would like to take up trade consultancy as a profession. Maybe they're technical people or they're economists or they're statisticians, etc., and give them a 1 year or 2 years of training so that they can help women and give consultancy at a reasonable cost. We're also training them in export-import procedures, tariff and non-tariff barriers, labeling, and we are doing all these training programs in collaboration with the Indian Institute of Foreign Trade and the Center for WTO Studies, which is under Commerce Ministry. And of course, what we need to do is provide access to internet for the women, because all these things require access and familiarity with internet. So we have to do a lot of policy advocacy. By and large, in developing countries, only about 47 or 48% of women have access to internet, while in developed countries, it's as high as 87. So unless this is what we achieve, we won't be able to make much headway. So the last slide is about what we are doing to enhance competitiveness of products and services through access to technologies. We want the women to have high value niche products which are based locally on available unique resources. We are already collaborating with institutes of excellence like National Institute of Food Technology, Indian Institute of Food Processing Technology in Tanjavur, Indian Institute of Packaging, National Institute of Pharmaceutical Education and Research. And we want to have these institutes have partnerships with similar institutes in other South Asian countries so that they also develop on similar lines. We want women to specialize in STEM. We feel that those who are technically qualified and with degrees, they are much more confident in as entrepreneurs. I'll just give a quotation of the Asia Pacific Economic Council of 1980, which said that governments of the region must invest more in women's education in STEM fields, not just to achieve gender equality, but also to give a thrust to innovation and rapid economic growth. So there already Department of Science and Technology had a meeting. Department of Biotechnology also partnered them, and we are seeing how we can encourage. As I told you, Andhra Pradesh is way ahead in registering, in reserving 30%, but that should happen all over the country. Now, there are focus areas, two major areas. There are the traditional sectors where we want to upgrade the technology and make it more globally competitive, like agro-food processing, herbal-based wellness, beauty products, traditional medicine, apparel, textiles, handicrafts, etc. These are the traditional, but we want to improve the technology. But great focus on new emerging technology-driven sectors, applications of biotechnology and life sciences, ITES, artificial intelligence, electronics, engineering, scientific waste management, biomedical devices, diagnostics, phytopharmaceuticals, nutraceuticals, medical instruments. These are the new areas where we're exploring for women entrepreneurs. We want to encourage green manufacturing because along with high technology, we want women to promote green technology. And we are setting up green industrial parks, not only within the country or within the Andhra Pradesh in more areas within the country, but also in South Asia. We have started with Nepal and the Maldives. And GIZ is a great partner in this for us. We want to plug women into global value chains. In Andhra Pradesh, there is a medical equipment tech zones where multinational companies have set up their medical equipment manufacturing units. And we want to help women to manufacture components for these companies so that they can get into the global value chains. Lastly, International Trade Center of Geneva has started a She Trades initiative. Basically, they create an international platform for networking, and they want to connect 3 million women entrepreneurs to the market by 2020. I think because of the COVID, there was some setback. And they help a lot in conducting exhibition centers. This Dubai, they have partnered Dubai Exhibition Center for getting women into to participate. And when we set up our exhibition center, we want to partner with ITC in this regard. So I've come to the end of this presentation. I've gone through it rather rapidly so that I keep within the time frame. But if any questions or any further information is required, I've given the details, contact details. And thank you again, Dr. Kirkar, Dr. Malik, and Dr. Tare for this opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am.
Now I will stop sharing. If anybody wants to quickly note these addresses, or I think Sangeeta can share them with everybody. I'll stop the. Yes, is that all right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am, for an excellent talk. Actually, you covered a very wide range, right from the vision and the concept to commercialization, if anybody wants to take this particular path of entrepreneurship. And you also covered the opportunities for women in trade. It was very nice to listen to this ALEAP program by CED, also get to know the self-help group, the NABARD initiatives, and so on. It was also very nice to know that around 3 lakh women have been supported under this particular initiative of ALEAP, and also to know about the digital skill program, Atal Innovation Program, and everything. The South Asian Women Entrepreneurship Support Program was also a new thing, at least for me. I'm sure the audience must have been greatly benefited by the talk of yours, ma'am. The interesting observations I want to just state from my side, that women investing in education was something which was very nice to hear. Actually, and they're trying to do something for the next generation is nice to know. Helping each other to get the women leadership going ahead was nice to also know from you. We all know, ma'am, that the government schemes to go from house, providing the house for the women, and also the interest rate can be lowered. These recommendations from your side are very nice to implement. We will, I'm sure this particular platform, we have a lot of good people who can take these, recommendations ahead also and try to do something from their own point of view. There are few questions I will quickly try to ask them. First question is from Priyanka Behre. She says that if I want to establish a botanical extract and phytochemical processing unit in Pune, then will ALEAP be able to help in doing the preliminary market survey and establish a market linkage and other support?
Let me answer each one so that I don't get confused.
Yeah.
Yes, certainly. This ALEAP hub, I have given the contact detail, Dr. Zaurullah, and they will certainly help you. You might have to become a member of ALEAP or of VITTC, to be able to access. But let me tell you, you have got a venture center in Pune, and V Hub in ALEAP. ALEAP's V Hub has an MOU with them. You can approach both. I think Venture Center, they are doing excellent work. And you can certainly contact Alip Hub and take advantage of their technologies and support system.
Sure. Thank you, ma'am. There's another question from Mr. Sanjay Gupta. He's not saying that suggestion. He says that it's not a question, rather a suggestion. All organizations, associations, and persons, including those in the government, having common goal of empowering women pan-India, must work together along with the public sector, and it can be a good starting point. So do you
Yes,
have any
certainly.
comment?
I fully agree. I said, I think even whether it's Alip or it is SHGs, the key to success is that they have stayed together, they work together, they have supported each other in times of good times as well as bad times. And I think that confidence that has been given. Let me tell you that recently, Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises, Joint Secretary Alka Arora contacted Alip and VITTC and asked whether we would help them replicate this model of VITTC and Alip all over the country. And of course, we readily agreed. We would like to help everybody else also. So anybody who is interested in this model, they are welcome to come to Hyderabad and go through all the schemes and what institutions have been set up. And they can also contact Alka Arora as Joint Secretary in MSME. So if government has any scheme to replicate, they could say that they are interested and they would like to register. I really feel that women must help each other, and it's a learning process. And the more the movement, the stronger the movement, the better it is for us. And now, of course, there is a global movement to get women entrepreneurs together. So
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. There's one question. Actually, this venture center that you said, Manjiri Khandekar, she's asking. The venture center that you said, that is the NCL Venture Center in
yes,
Pune.
yes.
Is that right?
Yes, and of course, Dr. Mashelkar is very much a patron. And we have also made Dr. Mashelkar as a patron for VHub. We went and called on him. So he is the right person to contact.
Right.
They are very good. They are extremely good.
In fact, he does a good amount of activity on social innovation also through this PIC platform. So yeah, that is.
And I have a long association with him when we set up the biotech park in Hyderabad. And ever since, whenever I go to him, he is always so positive. So we do look for inspiration with him.
Yeah, ma'am, yes. One question, there is one question from my side. This is related to the STEM education. So in not education per se, but entrepreneurship. So can you comment on why the number of women in this STEM entrepreneurship, this number is less? I think it is less globally also, right? Not only.
Of course, everybody recognizes globally that women don't go for technical education more. In fact, it's a very big movement in America where they are trying to get women, because they feel that the top posts, etc., unless you are highly qualified. And you see, manufacturing these days is so tech driven. Manufacturing by and large has become very tech driven. So you need technology in every field of manufacturing. So it's a global movement, but in developing countries, it's a very, somehow women are not encouraged by the family also. So in Andhra Pradesh, when they opened up, it was such a big thing, 30%. Generally, those families who would have never sent their daughters for technical education said, why don't we do it? Here's an opportunity. So by default, women went into technical education, and they did so brilliantly. When I set up the biotech park in Hyderabad, I will show you pictures. There are laboratories after laboratories with women on workers in biotechnology, in the biotech park. And everybody said, you are setting up a biotech park without any industry, biotech industry. Where will you get the people? They were there. They were available. And now Hyderabad is the largest vaccine producing center in the world.
True.
So you see, if you create the talent and the capabilities and the skills, but I think a little push is necessary, where we need to give, either you set up special institutes, polytechnics, ITIs, IITs for women, not IITs, but at least a technique for women, or in the institutes itself, give them some, and of course it should be merit also, merit come women, reservation.
Opportunity.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
say all the substandard people should go, but I think it will give a great push to women if they get technical qualifications, and great push to entrepreneurship also.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. One more, sir. Any questions from your side, Kelkar sir?
But can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
I can.
No, I don't have any question. I just want to thank once again Dr. Bide for a really outstanding presentation. Only one question is that what are learnings in terms of policy for Maharashtra government we can recommend from PIC?
Frankly, I am not very familiar with all that Maharashtra government does for either for women entrepreneurs or technical education. So difficult, but I feel that I'm sure the women entrepreneurs are quite active. Whenever I come to Pune and visit a venture center, I find women doing such interesting research and taking up startups. But I don't know whether they have set up industrial estates exclusively for women. If that is done, it's in one place where you can give a comprehensive support system at their doorstep, as they say, support at their doorstep. So that is one thing that can be learned from the Andhra experience. This We Hub is another thing. I'm sure Niti Aayog and Atal Mission can give such things, because I had visited Niti Aayog to get this scheme, and they said this is the first of its kind for women incubation center. So obviously not many had proposed. So maybe Maharashtra could propose that. And I would say women can certainly come to Hyderabad, visit, and it's always seeing is believing. They can just learn from our experience.
Yeah.
So most happy to arrange these meetings, etc. And in fact, we are trying to do this, replicate this strategy in all the South Asian countries, Maldives, etc.
No, I think you're given a couple of good leads. Is this PPT which is present is available to all of us?
I've shared it with Kiran and with Dr. Kale, and you're please free to use it. No problem.
Yeah.
Sangeeta, then there's an assignment for you. Prepare a proposal from PIC to Maharashtra government based on this. What Maharashtra government can do for promoting women entrepreneurship in Maharashtra.
Definitely. I would love to do this. Yes.
I'm not aware of such scheme in Maharashtra myself. So let's look at it, and this paper will send a short one to Maharashtra.
Definitely. I can take inputs from Sheila ma'am also, and I will.
Yes.
I will try to
prepare a draft. So because Sheila, we had prepared a series of paper Maharashtra government for economic regeneration post-COVID. But this one aspect we are not even touched upon.
Yeah.
So it will be fitness of things if we can send this additional paper. So Sangeeta,
sure.
Please interact with Sheila and let's prepare.
Yeah. I can. I have made it very brief, and I've covered a lot of. So I must apologize for going through, but I was keen on getting some important points inside. But there are much more other material also, which I'll share with Sangeeta. And we'll check with Maharashtra government if they are doing anything already. So that it won't look nice to say, please do this when they're already doing. So we'll check on that. And then what is new and doable, we will include in the paper.
Great.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. One small thing was there. If I can quickly ask you, this is by Ginny Jacob. She says that can collaboration between women organizations in India and other developed countries broaden the scope of women entrepreneurship in India?
between developing countries and developed countries?
Yes, yes.
I'll
Women
take it, I will go step by step. I think collaboration between women's organizations within the country should certainly take place. And as I mentioned, Ministry of MSME, I'm told, is trying to get some scheme where they will sing. And then, yes, women's associations with other developing countries, we are already doing under this VITTC with South Asia and Southeast Asia. And with developed countries, yes, why not? We should learn. We should learn from them. And there are many agencies which want to help. I think it's we should keep our minds very broad, and as much of collaborations and getting new new ideas and new this thing would be most welcome.
True, ma'am, true. Okay, ma'am, thank you so much for your talk, and it was a wonderful talk, very, very informative, and we look ahead to be in touch with you, and we surely get back to you on other aspects. Thanks a lot. And let me thank you, and also the panelists. Let me thank Kelkar sir and also Malik sir for this particular, for being on the panel along with Mr. Abhay Vaidya also. And thank you, ma'am.
Welcome. My pleasure. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye. Before we disperse, one small announcement I have just forgotten to say about. So those who are already online, there is a event coming up, which is a conversation on a book, India's Power Elite. This particular program is on 25th of June, that is Friday, coming Friday. The time is 5 o'clock, and this session will be chaired by Dr. Suhas Parshikar. So the talk will be, the conversation is on India's Power Elite, which is by Dr. Sanjaya Baru. I request all of you to kindly note this particular event, which is an upcoming event of PIC. Okay, so after this, thanks a lot, everybody. Thank you.